Hi, welcome to a new video. If you are new here, my name is Amandine. I've been living in Singapore for 4 years, and on this channel I like to share about anything that's happening in Singapore. Today we are going to talk about how my life changed after living in Singapore for a while. Definitely living abroad can be an adventure, offering different experiences we've been used to that are shaping our life differently. As an expat in Singapore, there are things that I'm doing here in Singapore that I would not imagine doing back in France. So let's explore the contrast and you let me know which life you prefer, life in France or in Singapore. Back in France, I would never thought that I would get into this sport. It seemed like a sport that only elite would play it in. It's associated with luxury brand, Monaco, so definitely not something so accessible. But here in Singapore, it's a whole different thing. You can find tennis court in most condos, but also Active SG has facilities that you can rent, and some of them have tennis courts. So you can just get yourself a racket and try a few shots. With Lynn, we have been playing for more than a year now and we've been just loving it, playing almost every weekend. Our flatmate is a really good player. He has been playing competition, so we are definitely learning also a bit from him. It's a really fun way to connect with people, making friends, even within your own condo, like we met people through tennis and since we are friends. It's making me think also of golf. Golf is definitely really inaccessible in France, but recently I've been to a driving range at Punggol. It was my first time playing ever. It's definitely more difficult than tennis because you have to get like the right motion, and also it's less accessible because the material that you need to play is a bit more expensive, but the facilities are definitely there. There are a lot of golf courses in Singapore. Singapore is a great country to pick up a new sport. So tennis is loved by expats, golf is liked by locals, but also you can give a shot at dragon boats, climbing. There is definitely a lot of activities to do here. Then eating out every day is definitely not something you think about when you live in France, but here is just a way of life. The variety of food is just mind-blowing and it just became an habit to go out to eat for breakfast, lunch and dinner. In France, if you want to dine out, you have only a very limited selection of budget-friendly options, mostly fast food actually. But here in Singapore, just down your apartment, you will find coffee shop, hawker centers with meal option well under $10. And on days when you are lazy or sick, you can just use your phone and order your favorite food. Grab is a delivery service that is so efficient here in Singapore. People just rely on it to get any kind of food they want to get delivered. There are also a few apps like Deliveroo and Foodpanda. To be honest, I don't order food in that often because I prefer to pick up and get the food while it's hot. But if you are lazy or sick, it's just a lifesaver. Taking the bus was never my thing back in France. They have an unsafe aspect, and I'm pretty sure that you've heard of the bedbug story that France is experiencing. But here it's different. Singapore buses are connecting every corner of the city. They are often really clean and it's really rare that you experience discomfort while traveling. Also, the reason why I like taking buses more than MRT is because of the view that you get. It's like you are on those touristic buses. But yes, the MRT is also super efficient in Singapore, rarely breaks down. It's just no hassle, gets you to your destination super quick. But actually also buses. There is a dedicated bus lane on most streets, so if there is a traffic jam, it will be most of the time faster to just take the bus than even taking the taxi. And the payment system is quite fair, meaning that you are going to pay for your amount of travel distance. It's not a unique bus tickets like you have, for example, in France. One of the most enriching experiences in Singapore is to be able to speak English and connect with people from diverse backgrounds. If you live in France and you don't move, you will basically be around the same group of people all your life, which is not a bad thing, but it's preventing you from meeting new people and learn from them. Where here in Singapore, every day is a new opportunity to meet someone, learn about their culture and just broaden my horizon. That's why Singapore is nice. English is a language that's unifying everyone and you can meet people from anywhere. And I can see that in my work environment as well. Depending on your industry and company culture, but my work is very multicultural. Even though my company is mostly local, I have some colleagues who are coming from Malaysia, China, Vietnam, Europe. So it's always fascinating to have access to such a broad range of people and get to learn their culture, get to share point of views. Alright, let's talk about living on my own in Singapore. Learn to live independently was a necessity if I want to survive in Singapore. I've learned to navigate life challenges on my own without relying on the safety net of family. Sometimes it's tough when you have to do adulting, make some call appointment, or when something goes wrong with the house, like the kind of thing that you would usually let your parents do, but I've just learned to do those things on my own. Of course, I'm grateful for my boyfriend, which is around all the time and can, for example, help me if I'm sick, hopefully. But I can't really count on an extended family. Like if something goes wrong today and they have to be there tomorrow, it's not really possible for them. Of course, I still visit my family about once a year and it's always such a good time when I go and visit them. I get to share with them some interesting stories and I'm always looking for their visit here in Singapore. My brother is coming for the first time in Singapore in November. I'm gonna also bring him to Bintan and I've prepared like a very plain itinerary because we have only a week. Let me know if you want me to share where we are gonna go, what is a good itinerary maybe for a week in Singapore. But also after that in December I'm gonna go to Europe for about a month. Really excited about that, of course. So yeah, living abroad, you have to accept that your family is here but not really here, and just do your best to keep contacts. Now let's talk about staying active in Singapore, which is quite different from the laid-back style that I knew in France. In France, life is all about leisurely meals, extended gathering and relaxing afternoons. Last time in France we were having lunch that started around 12 p.m. and by 3 p.m. we were not still done with the dessert. We had other things to do, so we had to leave. But that's really what I mean by laid back. You are really not in the rush of doing anything. Where in Singapore, we are focusing a bit more on work. It can be through working long hours or being very dedicated. But also outside of work, with Active SG, you are really encouraged to keep moving to stay in a good health. Gyms are not so affordable, but you can find exercising corner and public events that you can join for free. Recently, I joined a class with HPB at Suntec. It was a Zumba class and it was really so fun. And even if Singapore is focusing on this active lifestyle, they know the importance of relaxation too. Massage, beauty salon and wellness centers are way more accessible and affordable here in Singapore than in France. Even influenced by other Asian countries, for example Korean and their skincare, but also Thai and their massage. You can just find it all in Singapore. And as for fashion, I've just embraced a more comfortable lifestyle here in Singapore. There is only one season in Singapore, hot and humid, so you just need one wardrobe. So in the end, I'm just shopping less. There's just one thing that I used to do in Singapore when I arrived, but I feel like now I'm not doing it at all, is wearing flip-flop. Even when I was going to the city center, I just bought a nice pair of sandals that I wear instead of flip-flop because I was I want to save my dignity still. And that's all the things that I do in Singapore that are a huge difference to how my life would be in France. Do let me know if you are coming from somewhere else, how your life has been affected by your move to Singapore. Follow me on TikTok or Instagram if you want to follow the daily activities that I do. That's gonna be it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye!